start? Is that what I'm supposed to do? I mean, you're not going to introduce me or anything? Is that the way it is?
This is Mr. Pentcost, and we'd like to hear your story.
I bet you probably introduced everybody out here but me, I would think. I'd be Casey LaFon Pentcost. My parents are from Palmersville, and my daddy's name was Casey. That's where the Casey comes from. Mother was Carrie LaFon. That's where the LaFon comes from. Now you know. I graduated from Dresden schools. Miss Walker was a teacher of mine. She said I was the smartest student she ever had. She's probably right. I graduated at 15. Now, in between grades, Mother always made me go to Miss Bruce's business school, where I studied shorthand and typewriting and Latin. Next year, I was back in Miss Walker's class, and I was talking to a girl. And she said, "Casey, you got to write off 250 times. I will not talk in class." Well, I went back to my desk, and then at a flash, I was back up from her desk and handed it to her. I had done it in shorthand. She didn't think much of that. She didn't think much of it at all. Well, after graduation, I went down to UT Junior College in Martin. Worked through that program a couple years. That's a good school down there. They've done a great job. It's a full-fledged university now. I left there and went to Knoxville and got a bachelor's degree in business administration. I was going to go to law school, but the war broke out, so I volunteered to go to the Naval Air Force. And in World War II, I served this country as a naval pilot. Flew operations in the South Atlantic and in the Pacific theaters. After the war, I came back and joined the National Guard, and I stayed in the military service until I reached the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Then I retired. But after the war, I came back and went back to UT Law School, and I was up there studying one day, and Daddy called. Now, Daddy was a county judge in Weakley County. He was also a preacher. He could, you know, he could marry your parents, he could baptize you, he could marry you, he could divorce you, he could bury you. I mean, he could do it sort of a one-stop shop thing, you know. He said, "Casey, nobody wants to serve in the legislature this term, and you're going to do it." I said, "But Daddy," he said, "you're going to do it." I said, "Yes, sir, I'm going to do it." And Daddy knew a lot about politics, and he worked it around, and I got elected and served Weakley County in the 75th General Assembly in 1947 and 1948. And then in 1949, I left and went down to Memphis and worked for the District Attorney General down there as an assistant prosecutor, prosecuting those criminals. Then Daddy's friend Frank Clement, there's a picture of him over there, he decided to run for governor in 1952, and I worked his campaign down in Memphis, and I was his administrative assistant. That's like deputy governor. And then Buck Avery from Alamo decided he would retire from the Public Service Commission. Now, the Public Service Commission was in charge of railroads and utility rates and telephones, and Governor Clement appointed me in his spot. And in '54, I ran for my own spot, and that was a statewide election. I was elected every 6 years after that. For 24 years, I served as a commissioner of the Public Service Commission in West Tennessee. When I retired, I had served in a statewide elected office longer than anybody in the history of Tennessee. Next time you see Ned, you tell him that I was the whole director. I told him, he was sitting right there. He really likes to hear that. When I retired as a public service commissioner, I believed in public service. I was a member of, I was a chairman of the Statewide Heart Association. I was a member of Phi Delta Phi, which is an academic achievement fraternity. I was a member of the First Baptist Church here in Dresden. I continued my public service down at Hutch's gas station. Every day I went down there and watched him change tires and change oil, and I wanted to make sure he did it right, because I wanted you people to have a good service down there. Now, my sisters Marie and LaRue, they really were worried about me being a single man. They thought I needed to be married. They tried 2 or 3 times to get me married. Thought they had me married off. I fooled them. I traveled extensively as a single person. I've been to every country along the east coast of South America. I've been in Europe, as many countries as I could get to, Indonesia, the Far East, every state in the Union, including Alaska and Hawaii. And I never hurt for female companionship, I'll tell you. One of the things I like to do outside of going to Hutch's after I retired, we used to have weekly county nights in Nashville when Ed was speaker and as he was governor, and I'd go up with a group of folks from Weakley County and we'd have lots of barbecue and a Coke or two. Last time I was up there, that young man you got working for you now, that Maddox boy, he helped me out a whole lot and I appreciated it. Got me back to the car and I come on back to Dresden. You know, we got a good town here because of public service. Now I hope you're doing your part. I appreciate you being with me today. Have a